serve cold, but the Wolves and the Hawks never shiver in the snow. The Bulls keep it running, the Sox run the South, the Cubs run the North, but the Bears run the house. True Chicago sports fans got their ears to the street. Any team make a move and they never skip a beat. And in this house, this is where we be. Welcome to the show with E-Roc and Big-Z.
Welcome to Chicago. Coming from the True Chicago Sports Fan Cave, this is the TCSF podcast with E-Roc and Big-Z.
Yes, sir.
Episode 141 is brought to you by 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirts and search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Go and get your official TCSF shirts now.
Right now, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that you refresh your wardrobe from the summer and use that promo code to, get a little bit off. And, hey, while you're here, you might as well get one of our shirts.
Hell yeah, get one of our shirts. All right, as always, I am Big Z. I'm here with my boy E-Roc. What up, E?
What's up, Z? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. If you're a first timer or a long timer, please remember to hit that subscribe button, that notify button, and go ahead and give us a review on your listening app of choice. You can find us on Facebook at True Chicago Fans. You can follow us on Twitter at True Chi Fans and on IG at True Chicago Sports Fans. And don't forget, you can support the show with a monthly subscription at anchor.fm/True Chicago Sports Fans. Go on over there and click on support, and you can subscribe for as low as 99 cents a month. Hey, do you like the show?
I do.
Are you a fan?
Oh, yeah.
Then tell your friends and they will tell their friends, and we can all be friends. If you have someone in the ride while you're listening to the show and they're a sports fan, they're going to love it. So make sure that you play it around all of your sports fans, your friends who like to hear funny shit, people who like to hear two knuckleheads argue back and forth about the Cubs and the White Sox. Those are all the people that are in our demographic. So make sure you share it with people who also enjoy those types of things, man. Z, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, good, man. Feeling a lot better. End of the concussion protocol. Or as people like to say at work, I'm on vacation. So I've had 2 weeks off in April. So I'm actually feeling a lot better. No more headaches. Waking up to feeling 100% feels really good. So, but I've been really just working on cleaning the apartment because I can't stay still for very long. And I'm not supposed to be going out and doing stuff, so I just been working on it. As you can see in my background, I just got 2 more debt lofts from IKEA and put those 2 together. And let me just tell you, that sealant that holds both the glass in the back and the side is a motherfucker to put on and even out and put the glass in there so it just sticks in there, and then put the top on. It took me like 2 hours just because I didn't want to break the seal.
Funny enough, is breaking the seal is the thing that you usually do best.
That's I know.
You got that baby bladder, so it doesn't matter the situation, whether we're drinking in a studio or at a stadium. You're always the first one to go.
Oh yeah.
But the funny enough is that the one that I actually owned, that was the one that came out of the basement, the store that was over on Ashland way back when. So I never actually had to put it together. I just had to make sure that I could transport it from that location out to my house without breaking all the glass in it. So mine is actually, it was used as the display case for the stuff that they were selling in the shop. I legit showed up and got that for free when all the shit went down and that store closed. So I never had to go through that experience, but I'm glad you did, so I know not to do it myself.
Oh hell no, I do not recommend it. I do not recommend it. It's so tedious to put it into. It has to be perfectly in, and then the glass on the side, the slots that it fits into, it's very precise. So it took me 2 hours. I literally was watching the game and I was like, oh wow, it's the 4th quarter. There's 2 minutes left and I'm finally done. So that was my Friday night. So yeah, I got them all done. Yeah, I'm still working on organizing it like that, not suffocating the display so you can actually see what's in there. So I'm working on that. I got about 60% done. Let's see what else. I patched up the roof. We had that big storm a couple weeks ago, and one of the tiers of the roof came off. So I was up there helping my mom patch it up. Well, she was helping me. So we were out there patching up the roof. So that's always fun. I hate going up on the roof. It's just
I would never. Dude, I will not. I refuse to get past the third rung on the ladder. So I don't know what the fuck you're doing on top of the roof. You know what I mean? It's not something that I do.
The funny thing is, I have a beautiful view of the skyline from my roof. I can see the entire sky from the Hancock all the way to the Sears Tower. It's a great view, but I do not recommend hanging up on a roof with no safety railing or anything like that.
I mean, if you had like a flat surface up there,
it's flat. I have a flat top. I mean, a flat roof.
It's flat.
Yeah.
How much of it is flat?
All of it's flat.
Okay. Well, then I mean, like, if you have access to it, that's one thing. I mean,
it's just
I thought you were talking about like an A-frame and shit, where you're like,
no.
Or a Christmas Vacation where you're trying not to slide down the shit.
No. I mean, the problem is that the hatch for the roof is right outside my back door. So when you come up to the back, so I have to put a ladder against the last stair, and it's leaning against that hatch, and then I have to go up there and pop the hatch open, which weighs about 50 pounds, flip it over, and then climb on up. So it's kind of a hassle. So that's probably why I don't do it during the summer. Also, it gets really, really hot up there. So no, thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's a surface that you can actually stand on,
yeah,
you could probably set up like a little pop tent or whatever, set up some shade and just chill out there and drink and hang out. But yeah, the problem is that if you drink and hang out, then you're drunk and you're stuck up there. So you better bring a sleeping bag.
Let's see, a couple other things I did this week. I went to Monday Night Raw at the Allstate Arena with my boy Jesse. It's kind of our biannual thing that we do. We go to SmackDown or Raw. So he's actually able to attend. He hasn't been able to attend in about a year and a half. He keeps buying the tickets. He's like, "Oh, you can go for me." So we went. It was pretty cool because Bad Bunny showed up. Yes, the Bad Bunny showed up at the end of the show and beat the crap out of one of the wrestlers. And it was pretty cool because he's promoting him being the host and now in the match in Puerto Rico this coming Saturday, May 5th. Cinco de Mayo. Look at that in Puerto Rico.
Bad Bunny.
And then go ahead.
What is his finishing move?
You know what? I don't even remember on top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it's like a splash, jumping off the top rope with a splash or something like that. Yes.
Like a frog splash, but he's like, but at the end, when he lands on you, he starts humping you. It's called El Conejo.
I mean, that would be great. It's more of like a just let me just jump out there and look really big and then fall on the big guy. But that would be funny. Started humping him and call him the bunny.
Yeah, that's the frog splash. That's the classic frog splash right there. So that's what I said. I mean, you think about what they do. I mean, they're kind of similar. A frog is not covered in fur, but and a frog doesn't hump you. Rabbit damn will. So yeah, man, I think I just figured it out. Make sure you tell him next time.
Oh yeah, the next time I see Bad Bunny, I'll let him know. And lastly, we finish up our season. I think we end up in 4th for our it starts in August and we just finished in late April, our bowling league. We ended up finishing 4th. Louis ended up finishing and his team ended up winning the championship. Which is funny because he called it as soon as he signed up. He's like, "We're coming for you, coming for the champs." And you can't always repeat, especially in bowling, because you're missing people on off weeks. No excuses. They won, and we took 4th place. We played next to each other, which is great. So we took some victory shots and we're able to. I was happy to see them win because there's a team that they play that they make all the the bowling chants and they're annoying. Like they think they're good. They think they're really good though. They're like 1, 2, 3. Who is that or whatever? Or they get 3 strikes, or if they strike out the whole frame, all 4 of them, they make another chant. And it was like, you're so annoying, and you've never won a championship.
Yeah, but I mean, if they are good, here's the thing. I think we all know that championships. You can be the best team. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the champion at the end of the day because. Sure. Weird things happen, or even let's say even at your best and you're consistent and you're like whatever you're like, let's say you're playing at 85% and that's like really really good. Well, you come into someone who happens to get 86%, and then what are you supposed to do? So you could be 80. You know what I mean? If that makes sense to all the listeners out there, all you need. Here's the thing. I always tell my girls in softball, we only got to win by 1, right? So all you need to do is win at the end of the day and squeak it out. So it happens. But congrats to Louis, his brother. I saw he put some photos up there. His pops was out there too, so that's pretty cool. I won't mention any other members of that team, but
his girlfriend.
I really don't know her, so I don't, you know what I mean? I don't want to.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm ending at.
Gotcha. Lastly, I just want to share my condolences to a friend of mine who is also in that bowling league and part of my bowling team over the summer. My boy Ron, he passed away this past Tuesday, at the same day they were supposed to bowl. He was a retired Navy officer. And really good dude, and unfortunately he passed away of some complications of diabetes, and I think he had a heart attack and a stroke at the same time. So, it was a rough one. So I didn't find out till about 2 days later. That's why he didn't show. So I knew that he had suffered from some health issues, but he was never outgoing with it. He was always like, a happy-go-lucky guy, and really helpful with bowling, and just a real competitor. So I just want to share my condolences for the passing of Ron.
That's a shame. It's sad to hear. It's one thing, we heard this week about a couple of passing of some celebrities. So, even when you think about like people that pass away, that which ones had an impact on you, and which ones you feel sorry for their family, or you actually feel it within yourself. And so when you actually have someone that you knew and you bowled with and you played with that unfortunately is no longer with us, it definitely hits you a little bit differently. But so I'm condolences for your loss, man.
Thank you, brother. All right, bro, let's switch it over to you. What you been doing all week, man?
Well, if you can't guess, we've been doing softball. Softball, yeah, man. We kicked off the softball season on Tuesday, I believe it was. That first game we played against Bensonville. That team, it was weird because when I looked at the standings from last season, they looked to be a pretty strong team. They went 14-2 in the 14U division, but I'm guessing that a lot of their girls went over either to play travel ball, or maybe they're playing other sports as they prepare for high school, because they were at that level right there. So their team was a lot of new girls. So I was nervous going into my first game as an actual manager of a team, which is absolutely frustrating to be a manager. There's so much bullshit that I have to deal with, whether it comes down to schedules, whether it comes down to chalking the field and setting everything up, and trying to make a lineup, and it's just a lot of nonsense. I love coaching, but this is a bunch of bullshit, I'll tell you what. But so we started off our season. We took the first game 18-0 on a slaughter rule, because that team, we just maxed out every inning, and we did not allow any runs. We had some really, really good defensive plays, and we held our own. Now in game 2, we played against our old rivals, the Franklin Park Vipers, who is the organization that we came from. About half of my team and all of my coaches came from that organization, and we were up pretty big. We were up going into the final inning, 19-10, until we decided to start booting the ball around. And next thing you know, it is 19-20, and we have to come back at the end of the game.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that was interesting. One thing I will note is that Jalen, who was injured in our practice a couple weeks ago, she looks to be doing okay. No broken bones, no torn ligaments or anything like that. So she has physical therapy a couple times a week, and hopefully she'll be back some point this season. She was able to come out to the game and kind of cheer the girls on. So it was really good to see her out and about after all that stuff kind of went down. But so here we are, Franklin Park Vipers, up ahead big, and now we're in the 6th inning, and they're just running, and they're a easy throw to first gets overthrown just a slight bit. She can't catch it. A fumble here. It was just there was at least 6 outs in that inning. So we finally get the last out. We have to go up to bat, and I turn around, and the ump is lining up both teams, and we're looking at each other like, nuh-uh, we get last at bat.
Right.
And they're like, you guys won. And I'm like, I don't know about that. and looking at the score, because on our app on Game Changer, you can add and add the scores live, right? So every time someone scores a run, I try to add it in there and update it so anyone looking at the app can see the live score. Well, Steve is our other coach, and I've known him forever. He is the one that actually does the book. So he's sitting there. He's like, oh, shit, we're down 1. They think they're down 1 the whole time, right? So when we got our third out, they think they're down 1. We line up, and we're telling them, hey, you guys are up. Because they think, because Blue was like, all right, line it up. And we're like, no. We get last at bats. And then it turns out that they had their scoring wrong in their book. We could have easily taken that win. But that's not how we do things. So we went over there, corrected their book, and got the bases loaded up there. And then my daughter went up there, and essentially she hit a home run, but she was stopped at third because Coach Steve stopped her because he didn't want her crashing the plate. And I'm like, bro, you should have let her go. That would have been a walk-off home run, even if that run doesn't count.
Yeah. But
her very first walk-off, we ended up winning 21-20 in a hard-fought back and forth battle. Now, the funny thing is that this Blue that we had out there, he's a twin. I did not know there was a set of twins. But number 2, he actually will wear a little GoPro on his hat. So record the game. So we're like, hey, are you gonna play this game? He goes, well, it wasn't a very good game. And I'm like, you man. So I'm guessing like when they have, because we're a house league, so sometimes you get walks, you'll have a run of 3 walks and you'll have 3 outs in a row. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of like outs where double plays, outs, bases loaded, stuff like that. So, but we were able to get it out in the end. And then unfortunately, Saturday morning we started our game not far from where I live here in a park that I'd never played in before, and I had no information for the other manager to say, hey, is there a game on? This is their home field. Is there a game on? This and that. And I get there, it's a guy I've been coaching against for years, and I'm like, bro, why is your stuff not on the thing? So we are going back and forth. We try to get the game in. First inning, we go up there. Of course, we're away, so we get we max out the 6 runs. Okay, 6 per inning you're allowed. We don't allow any runs in the bottom. Second inning, and every time we go up to bat, it's raining. When they come up, but I mean, it's slick. Like the ball is dirty. We gotta like dry the balls off between every pitch. It's just a mess. But there's no lightning, so they keep going. And by the time we get to the bottom, I think it was like halfway through the second inning, he's like, "Hey man, I already got a girl that like is getting sick out there," and I'm like, "Do they not practice hard? Whatever." So. So it turns out that I told him, I says, bro, what do you want to do? I says, it's too early in the game to call it. We can't call it. We need like at least 4 innings, 4.5 innings, whatever, to have an official game. So, and then one of the other coaches is like, well, we got to reschedule. I says, reschedule or continuation, because we've already played 2 full innings. I said, so they looked at the rules and it says, we're going to do a continuation, because I'm like, I'm up 10-1, right? I'm not trying to go back and number 1, play 2 innings all over again, and number 2, give up 9 runs, right? That's not what I'm here to do. So we play them again in a couple weeks at their field. So what we'll do is we'll play our regularly scheduled game for that day and then continue the rest of our game at the end of that. The interesting thing is that I got a lot of girls who are going to be going to Washington, D.C. for the school trip. Yeah. I got a bunch of girls that are getting ready for their 8th grade graduation at 2 different schools. I got a lot of holes to fill, so hopefully we'll be able to kind of stay on schedule at least decently, so we don't run too late into the season, because I got a trip planned like 3 or 4 days after the season's supposed to end, and if we get pushed back a week, then it's gonna suck big time.
And you be pulling out your hair.
Well, at this point, the only way to pull out my hair is to shave my face, because there's nothing else growing anywhere.
Whoa. Manscaping.
That too. We need to get a sponsorship for that. Last but not least, T-ball season started. So the very first game that my little one played was at the same time as we had a game, so I didn't get to see that one, but we did see her play. She got 1 at bat this morning before the rain came down, and of course that our 10 a.m. game got rained out, but the 11 a.m. game was able to go on the schedule because the rain passed at that point. So yeah. I mean, it's T-ball, so they're not counting the scores. There's no standings or anything like that, but I mean, it is nice for her to get out there and get a little bit of experience and understand what's going on out there. So it was kind of cool to see, though. But funny enough, my older daughter, we're like, hey, let's go to the game. She's like, can I just lay down? It was like the first time she ever stayed home alone, just like crashed out. And I'm like, you know how many softball games your sister has been to since she was a baby, and you won't come to her first game where you don't have to play? Like, come on, man.
You can lay down over there, right?
I mean, it was, to be fair, it was shitty and rainy, and we were only out there for about 10 minutes before we jumped off the field. So we get home, she's like, "Oh, it looks like I made the right choice, guys." And we such a dick.
She has your sense of humor.
She does. So, but yeah, so t-ball, softball, that's what it is. If anyone who listens to this show knows, that's essentially what my next 6 to 7 to 5, 10, 20 years is going to be like anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so if you don't hear E-Roc's voice, you know where he's at.
More than likely, I will tell you probably looking at the schedule, I probably won't be here next week if I'm looking at it right, and it's going to be choppy next couple months. So I will be on as much as I possibly can, but you might not hear my voice every week, and that's probably a big relief to some of you out there.
Oh boy, no, we'll try to fill those big shoes. Maybe we'll get Sean because he's got that size 45 shoe and shit.
He got the same size. He's a size 12 like me.
He's a 12. I thought he was like a 14 or something.
Oh, he's a 12, which was shocking because he's a good couple inches shorter than me, and I outweigh him by
he's
at least
like a 5'8". Yeah, he's a good 5'8". Yeah, but
or fucking one of the what is it, Sideshow Bob characters out there.
Yeah. All right. What else? What do we got for this week, E?
We got a lot of good stuff. Mainly, we're going to focus on the recap of this NFL draft, the 2023 draft class of the Bears with, I believe, 10 picks, quite a few picks. There was a lot of upset people about who they took first in the first round, but we're definitely going to recap that. And we're going to talk a little bit of our expectations going into the next season. We have all that plus stirring the pot and what you looking at. But first, this is the Big Three with Big-Z.
Thanks, E-Roc. I'm Big-Z, and you're not. Now for today's stories. All right, let's get started with story number 1. And I'm going to turn on the music for this one because we've got to listen to this. ESPN reporter has been fired for this comment. I know, try to pay attention to the sound because I know I got music in the background, but listen to this.
Disculpa que a ti siempre te molestan las cosas. Así que yo hablo con Jason si tienes algún problema. Thank you so much, man. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you speak English now. Oh, you started speaking English. I'm sorry. Perdona, yo tengo algo seteado con Aaron, si no te molesta. Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it. Oh, what a fucking cunt.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Excuse
All
me,
right.
excuse me, how you call me? Excuse me, did you record that, right? What? I wasn't talking about you.
Whoa. All right. Let's back that up. Let's give this some context. ESPN has fired national baseball reporter Marly Rivera after an incident at Yankee Stadium when, according to the Post, she was alleged to have called another reporter.
Watch your mouth, cabron.
After they both attempted to interview Aaron Judge at the same time. So TMZ posted this. Thank you for TMZ for the video. So I'll give you a quick shout out so I don't get sued. The highlights. Rivera does in fact call Yvonne Gady, who was freelancing for Tokyo Broadcast.
Watch your mouth, cabron.
She did so after Gady attempted to interview Judge. Rivera claimed that she had already scheduled an interview with the slugger at the time. Rivera made an offensive comment in front of Judge and a bunch of fans who had paid to meet him at the tail end of his batting practice. So there's a bunch of kids looking for autographs, getting their jersey signs, baseballs, all that stuff. Rivera claimed, "I wasn't talking to you. You heard that? That's bullshit." She literally called her a and turned around and looked at the camera. Rivera also expressed surprise that Gate spoke English after initially speaking to her in Spanish at the start of the altercation. Judge kept his poise through the entire thing. You see him like kind of give a side eye and then focus back on the kids like, I'm staying the hell out of this. Rivera continued to confront Gady based on the footage. Gady was shown to have ignored Rivera after initially taking a barrage of calling her a cunt and asking for her photographer if the comments were taped. Spicy.
Here's the thing. Number one, see you next Tuesday. Number two, Rivera did have the time scheduled, right? And so you can understand the frustration there in a competitive field, especially for female anchors, female reporters. She had the time scheduled, but the weird thing was that, like, number one, she started speaking to her in Spanish, and if you look at her, she's like working for a Chinese or a Japanese network. The other reporter, Gady, she doesn't. I mean, I don't want to stereotype here, but she doesn't look like she's Asian, or Japanese or Chinese or anything like she.
No,
so
she's not Asian
I can understand a little bit why Rivera was talking to her in Spanish. But the fact, I think the very ironic thing here is that you can't tell me that at some point in her life, Rivera didn't have one of those moments where someone said to her, "Oh, you speak English," and then she went and busted out on someone else.
Right.
And then once she decided that, she's like, "Oh, you do speak English. Well, check this out. How about some French? Because pardon my French, you're a fucking cunt."
So it looks like these two reporters have had it into before, because if listening to her in Spanish, she's like, "Oh, excuse me, I'm trying to tell you I have this interview scheduled, but I'm trying to tell you because you always get mad when people tell you shit." That's literally what the beginning of the conversation. So it looks like they've had it in and out prior to this. So it looks like this has been going on for a while. So I can see why her frustration's there, but you can't do that. You can't call somebody a cunt, especially if you're a public figure and there's a bunch of cameras around and there's a bunch of kids and you're on a major network and you are in Yankee Stadium. Like, obviously it's going to get filmed.
You got to teach them kids at some point, though, right?
Who's a fucking cunt?
It's like when you first move to any country or first start learning a language. What's the first thing you learn?
Fuck.
It's all the bad words. It's all the bad words, which eventually, sometimes, depending on who you are, could be good words. You don't know. I mean, shit. If there is a very famous clip, and it's the many uses of the word fuck, right? And if you get a chance, go and Google that, look it up on YouTube, and it talks about it being a verb, a noun, an adverb, all of it. I even have a book in my house that's in the bathroom called the English as a Second Fucking Language, and it's basically understanding and explaining the origin of all the different curse words that we have in the English language. So I mean, look, like I said, kids got to learn sometime.
Very, very true. All right, story number 2. A man in Florida steals a hearse from a funeral home and then crashes it.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Gainesville, Florida, a man who reportedly stole a hearse and crashed into Gainesville Sunday afternoon has been arrested. A 54-year-old suspect was not immediately identified by the police, is facing a charge of GTA and criminal mischief after officers said he stole a Cadillac hearse from the Chestnut Funeral Home. This happened around 1:30 in the afternoon. There's other vehicles involved in the crash. No one's really seriously hurt, but I mean, who steals a hearse?
I mean, the thing is that you take such a little risk with hurting anyone when your passengers are already dead, I guess.
Oh, man. The fact that he got charged with GTA. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to steal this hearse and just drive down the street and crash into. Yeah, it's literally what you do in the game.
Well, that's literally what it is, and it's almost like all right, like where's my hideout? Like, where do I have to go and like press the button to fast forward 6 hours so I can come out scot free?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Try to figure it out.
Yeah, fucking Florida.
Hi, Jerry. I just have a comment for the mother and the daughter. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. And for you, son, when you kissed her, you kissed the hood.
Go ahead.
All right, time for story number 3. And if you haven't figured that out, we're paying homage to one of the greats, Jerry Springer, who just passed away this week at the age of 79. He was a daytime television pioneer. Longtime personality Jerry Springer, who helped pioneer the high-energy, often profane genre of confrontational daytime television, died this past Thursday after a bout with cancer. Springer, the former mayor of Cincinnati, died in suburban Chicago. His publicist, Linda Schaffen, said that he died from pancreatic cancer And so she gave a little statement saying, Jerry's ability to connect with people was the heart of his success, and everything he tried, whether it was politics, broadcasting, or just joking with people on the street who wanted a photo or a word. He is irreplaceable, and his loss hurts immensely, but the memories of his intellect, heart, and humor will live on. The Jerry Springer Show ran from 1991 to 2018 and was known for profanity-prone guests who often had to be restrained by set security guards, and was wildly cheered.
Yeah, I mean, look, you had Steve Wilkos, who made an entire career just being off of Jerry Springer's security guard, right? He had his own show, everything like that. So, I mean, number one, you think about the longevity of the Jerry Springer Show. You said from 91 to 2018. I mean, that's incredible on its own. But yeah, I mean, like anyone, especially in our generation, knows exactly who Jerry Springer is. I mean, there was always, I'm sure at some point, be like, I'm gonna take you on the Jerry Springer Show, or just making a joke about it or whatever. And it was like back in the day of your mama jokes, and be like, oh, your mom was on Jerry Springer. So I mean, it was one of those things. I did get to attend a taping years and years and years ago, and I'm pretty sure I still have the envelope that it came in because I just thought it was cool. That, and I think the acceptance letter to Lane Tech, I have that envelope as well for some reason. So I have those two random ass things. But yeah, I mean, that was really cool to go to. And it's a shame, I mean, again, you're talking about a guy who was 79 years old, pancreatic cancer. So it's not like it was a young man that passed away, but definitely an icon in Chicago, an icon in all of media, if we're being honest. I mean, he used to be he was a TV reporter, I think like a broadcaster or an anchor, a desk anchor, before becoming the mayor of Cincinnati and then going on to create this show, which again, if you're of our generation, it was a milestone, and it was almost like the very, very, very beginning of like this trashy reality TV.
It definitely was. And I remember like leaving school, especially like my senior year early, just to get home to be able to see, like, catch the last 20 minutes of Jerry Springer. Because that's like when the audience would get into, like you just heard, the audience would get into with the panel. And if you come to Chicago as a panelist and are expecting not to get roasted by Chicago people, you got something else coming, because Chicagoans got a sharp tongue and they're quick-witted, and you're going to hear exactly what we got to say.
You have any self-respect at all?
I do.
This is great.
You was the side chick. You sharp, baby, still in your ponytail hit the ground. You still sharp. You knew you were a side chick. Don't wear the ponytail the next time. And baby girl with the blonde hair, did you get your piece that flew over there?
They would straight up roast you from the audience. And the funny thing is that I completely forgot about it. When I'm searching YouTube clips for just the Jerry chant, I completely forgot that towards the end of the run that they had the roast where the audience would roast the panel members, and they had everyone out there. But the funniest thing about this show wasn't just all the cheating, because Maury Povich was a baby mama guy, right? That wasn't really what this was about. This was about cheating. This was about like, oh, by the way, you didn't know she was a man, and to see the reaction, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, it was it Jerry Springer or was it like Ricky Lake, where like a dude found out a dude had a crush on him and like killed the guy? Like it was some weird shit.
I think that was Ricky Lake.
But you had Ricky Lake, you had Jenny Jones, you had Jerry Springer, you had Sally Jesse Raphael, you had Phil Donahue, you had Geraldo. I mean, you had so many of those type of shows at the time. So, but when you look at all of them side by side, Jerry Springer, bar none, was number one. Even with Maury and all the baby mamas, he was number one, because he would just, again, it's just that like real life drama. You want to tune in to see what happened, to see like these crazy ass people throwing chairs and all this stuff, and see if Steve Wilkos is gonna get hit upside the head. Like it was like almost as much trash talk as WWE.
Funny you said those two names, because I think Kurt Angle was a security guard for about a week for Jerry Springer on the show. And then Steve Wilkos, who, like you said, he owes everything to Jerry, because he literally just said he's the most influential man in my life other than my father. Everything I have today I owe to Jerry. He was the smartest, most generous, kindest person I've ever known. My wife and I are devastated. We'll miss him terribly. He was also just on Jersey Shore. I told you I've been watching that show, trying to catch up, and he was just on this show like a couple months ago, where meatballs, Snooki and the other girl. Yeah, they had him on their little talk show that they try to do, and he was just like, "Whatever, I'm just getting paid. I don't care." But
talking about JWoww?
No, the other one, Dina.
That one.
Yeah, the meatballs. Those are the two meatballs.
Yeah, that's I'm not. My wife would watch that show back in the day. I'm not super familiar except for what's her name, Snooki. Matter of fact, her cousin would dressed up as Snooki for Halloween like 10 years ago. So they were heavy into that shit. Like the cabs are here, like all that bullshit. Like
the cabs are here.
They were heavy into that.
Well, rest in peace, Jerry Springer. You influenced a whole generation of smart-ass Chicagoans. And you know what? The commercials were also great during there's a time because I've got something for you. The Eagle commercial, the 588-2300. What else? The auto breaker. The guy who turns off the door off the auto parts.
Victory Auto Records.
Victory Auto Records. Yeah, like all those commercials are just Chicago staples, and they were part of watching the Jerry Springer show because they were televised on Channel 9.
It was WGN, and let's. Again, while we're in it, let's not underestimate those Eagle Man commercials. Even with the one in Mancow, I've got something for you, and then he lays an egg, and everyone's like, "I thought it was Eagle Man. Like, is he out here? Is he for real out here laying eggs? Like, what the fuck?" And then they had the other one. Look, it's Eagle Woman. Like, it was just those are just great. I wish they could bring those back just for nostalgia purposes. But I guess that's why we got YouTube.
That's exactly why we have YouTube. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am Big Z, and that's news to me. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride. So do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15.
For 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey guys, it's Steven.
And this is Sean, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans.
Don't forget to listen to No War on the Weekend. New episodes on Monday. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, so we're going to go do a couple of shots. So let's kick it back over to Big Z and E-Roc.
No Water on the Weekend.
Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast with E-Roc and Big Z.
Oh, yeah.
This is 3 and Out Draft Edition.
With the 10th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, Tennessee.
So the second tackle. So the Bears were sitting at number 9, and they decided, even though this guy that everyone's talking about, Jalen Carter, is sitting right there at the number 9 overall pick, I think we knew that Ryan Poles had it in his heart of hearts, knowing that he did not want that guy. And I talked extensively. I talked about him last week with JC, that I didn't want him on this team. I feel like he is too immature. He's too selfish. He's too much of a knucklehead to bring into a room full of young guys. So Bears traded back with Philly. Philly came up to number 9. I think it was like a 4th round pick for next season. So a lot of people were upset about the compensation for that trade. But Philly came up to number 9 and took Jalen Carter. And the Bears came in at number 10 and picked up Darnell Wright, the tackle out of Tennessee. Z, when you first heard about this pick, what was your initial reaction?
Well, I think it's a good pick. It's a good talent. He's going to be a staple on the offensive line. I watched a lot of that video that JC sent me over, and it looks like it's a good, smart piece to have in there. Here's the issue with that. Because we drafted at 10, and Carter went before him, and then we have Peter Skornowski, who we also talked about as an offensive tackle, going after him. He's sandwiched in between two potential guys that are going to be, they're going to be, staples at someone else's team, and you don't know what their trajectory is going to be. Obviously, we talked about Jalen Carter extensively, especially with the off-the-field issues. And now he's saying, "Oh, I'm going to work. Philadelphia. I'm going to do everything possible to work for you guys." Okay, if he turns into a generational talent, do you still kick yourself in the ass? You might have Darnell Wright be a 10-year player on the offensive line for the Bears. What if Peter Skornowski makes 10 Pro Bowls? It's a big what if.
Here's the thing. It's not really fair to write based on where he was drafted. I know a lot of people are saying he's going to be compared to Jalen Carter and how his career pans out. But the thing is that, when you're having a gut feeling about a guy, when you talk, I'm sure they talked to Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter showed up his pro day overweight. Jalen Carter was in a car accident that killed a scout, like a student scout or a student staff member, along with a teammate, and then was arrested or pulled over not too long after that, again, for reckless driving. I mean, right there, if that doesn't show you a lack of maturity, a lack of intelligence, and a lack of empathy for people around you, I mean, that is not something that you want. And again, realistically, it's not something that you want around a young football team, one of the youngest, if not the youngest team in football in 2022. So I mean, that is number one. Number two, we talked about Peter Skornowski quite a bit, but looking at the comparables, I mean, you look at what they have him for Darnell Wright, the NFL.com prospects, their draft perspective is what it is. This guy's 6'5", 333 pounds, 9-inch hands, and a 33 3/4 arm length. They have him as a production score of 78, and according to the combine rank, he was fourth. His athleticism score is 86, which gives him a number 2 combine ranking at a total score of 84, third in the combine ranking. Real big guy, right? 6'5", 333. He's a mauler. He's a mountain of a man. And I think that's what you're doing now is, number one, you're removing the pressure away from a guy like Skornowski, who is from Chicago area. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he is a Packers fan. So that's number one. Get the fuck out of here. But here's the thing. Like I said, I mean, you're talking about a local guy, and we talked about it a little bit with JC, last week, because you look at some of the local guys that are already on the team with the tight ends that we have on this team, and you take away some of that pressure because you don't have to worry about playing for your hometown team. You don't have to worry about, can I get tickets for auntie and uncle and everyone else that lives in, wherever the hell he's from in the suburbs. But you get a big guy who will fit your need. And, they've been trying to build up this line. And I mean, I think it's really important, the fact that you got this big bastard who's going to be able to block some guys. He did not allow a sack in the SEC all of last season, right? You talk about some of the guys that came out of the SEC. Will Anderson, who went, I think, third or fourth overall, was one of the top defensive ends, says that Darnell Wright was the hardest guy that I had to play against all season. And that's an Alabama defensive lineman going against this big boy from Tennessee. So right there, that's an encouraging thing. Again, the Bears were not expected to be a great team next season, right? Eagles are. The Eagles just came off a Super Bowl. Right. So now you put a lot of pressure on this guy. And look, I'm not mad at this pick at all. I'm really happy that they filled the need. I'm really happy that Ryan Poles was smart enough to find an offensive lineman. And like I said, a mountain of a man who he can plug and play and will be a starter on day one.
Yeah, I'm not mad at the pick. I'm just saying, we're always going to wonder where someone... I'm not looking where he got drafted. I'm looking at the two players that he sandwiched in between, because those are players that we could have had. So those are comparables. But I think it's a solid pick. I think it's a solid pick that they're going to have somebody on the offensive line for years to come who doesn't allow sacks, that's going to protect Justin Fields. And he said, if someone hits his quarterback after the whistle, I'm going to see you guys in the parking lot.
Which is exactly what you want. I mean, yes. That's exactly, what number one, you want to know that these guys are dogs. These guys are going to sit there and protect Justin Fields no matter what. And when you look at up and down, the guys that they brought in this season, and not only in the draft but in free agency. They brought over Nate Davis, who we talked to JC a little bit last year with Tennessee. He's another dog. He's a big guy, 6'3", 316. We already had Tevin Jenkins. You got Cody Whitehair. So you look up and down, and now they got Darnell Wright. When you look up and down to who is actually on this offensive line, it's a bunch of big bruisers. Now, we've drafted offensive linemen in the first round before, like Gabe Karimi, and that didn't really work out. The Bear Jew out of Wisconsin, But a lot of people were saying maybe they should get Bijan Robinson, maybe they should get this guy, maybe they should get that guy. Look, I think that what you're doing is you're shoring up your offensive line. You still got Braxton Jones, who showed a lot of potential last year as a rookie. So what they've done, in my opinion, is done their best to protect Justin Fields. So not only can he, be able to chuck the ball down the field and, on some of these burners when we look at the rest of the draft, but look at what they have on the roster already before the draft. But, we know that hopefully he'll have time to let the short game open up, get the game over to your guys that are cutting under, give Cole Kmet some more
reps.
Catches. Incorporate Robert Tonyan, because you're going to be running some 2 tight end sets. So I think this was a really good pick by the Bears, and I think it was a smart move by a guy who understands that you cannot build a championship roster in one offseason.
No. Actually, let's hear from Ryan Poles.
Feel like you have now put enough in place for Justin, that you've given him enough help to where the personnel around him will not be one of the detrimental factors that he has to overcome.
Yeah, that's you want to support your quarterback. We all know that's where it starts. So you want to surround him with talent. We had to wait a little bit to do it the way I wanted to do it and the way we wanted to do it. And I think we found some good opportunities to do that, solidify and improve the O-line, make sure that we have the running game to stay balanced, and then give them different types of receivers and different threats to create separation from the tight ends to receivers. So more big plays can be made, and you can grow your confidence and get in a rhythm. So now, that's the other thing we need to talk about too, is just building that chemistry with all of these new players coming together. So we're looking forward to this offseason and putting that time in and, building that chemistry so everyone can rely on each other.
Your confident pieces are there, though. You want to see Justin take the leap. This won't be part of the equation. He'll have the pieces he needs to make that leap now.
Yeah, it's got to come together, but I feel on paper right now, I feel like we've done a good job to surround him with good talent.
All right, that was courtesy of NBC Sports Chicago. All right, E, give me your reaction to that.
Look, I don't disagree with him whatsoever. I think, again, you're bringing in names that were known if you're a scout or if you're deeply invested in NFL or SEC football. But I mean, to the average fan, you can't tell me that the average Chicago Bears fan meathead had any idea who Darnell Wright was, So I mean, they're looking for their big name. They're looking for the kid from Northwestern. They're looking for, this knucklehead out of Alabama. Look, or Georgia, I'm sorry. I am very happy. Like I said, I'm very happy with the pick. I think they did the smart move. This is a very Chicago Bears meat and potatoes type of pick, type of draft when you go all the way down. And again, like I said, Will Anderson, the number 3 overall pick in the draft, talked about Darnell Wright being the hardest guy that he had to go against. So Ryan Poles, he actually, I believe on ESPN, one of the things they talked about was he kind of gave them a nod about who he was going to target in the draft, because he says they asked him something similar to the effect of, as an offensive lineman, which Ryan Poles was with the Chicago Bears, for those who do not know, as an offensive lineman, that's something that you focus on, and you kind of give him the wink and the nod, be like, hey, I'm always going to be looking out for offensive linemen. So the number one thing they have to worry about now is probably going to be depth, but you've got to worry about, hey, are these guys going to be able to step to the plate, gel as a unit, and protect the guy? I really do not want to hear any more chants about Justin Fields being a running back after the season, because I feel like they did put the people in place to be able to protect him so that he can not just, take off when he needs to, but go ahead and like I said, get the ball in those tight windows and get it over to the playmakers and let them do their job.
Yeah, nothing but agreement right now. And the funny thing is that, we talked about this for weeks and weeks and weeks. We said this is what we need to do, and this is what they actually did. So what the grading polls draft. So RAS, which is called it's the acronym for Relative Athletic Score. So it's based out of 10. Every single one of these draft picks is 8 and above. So you're looking at Darnell Wright, Tennessee. I believe that's a 9.68. I mean, the man, you're looking at somebody who's going to be a starter right away. Our second pick, Trevon Dexter, defensive tackle, has a rating of 9.53. Let's talk about him.
So, number 53 overall pick, Jervon Dexter, a defensive tackle out of Florida. I have some grades here, too, that I pulled from the NBCSports.com page. I gave him a B- for this pick. Dexter's a big guy and feels a need for Matt Eberflus' defense. He's 6'6", 310, and can use his size to overwhelm offensive linemen. The size plays well in the pass rush. However, scouts believe his true strength lies in defending the run. And when you look at what especially what the Detroit Lions did in this draft, that is going to be very important, because I'll tell you what, I know that Minnesota is always going to have those big splashy offensive plays, but if you can get to Kirk Cousins, he will shit his pants.
Yep.
And we have no idea what's going to go on with Green Bay right now, with Aaron Rodgers finally getting traded over to the Jets. Jordan Love is going to have a lot of jitters, I think, so we can attack him. They did give him, I think, another wide receiver, but the big guy that the team that I'm looking forward to the most, aside from the Bears this season, is the Detroit Lions. They made some interesting moves. They signed David Montgomery, but one thing that they did do is they moved DeAndre Swift, who they drafted a couple years ago. And I believe Philly picked him up, which is interesting, because Philly is like completely flush with running backs right now. They picked up, I forget who it was during the offseason as well. But the Lions definitely loaded up on offense. I believe they also got Hendon Hooker, the quarterback from Tennessee, who busted his knee or his leg late sometime in the season. So they're looking for someone that's going to eventually replace Jared Goff. But look, I think what you're looking at now is Brian Poles filling needs, right? Because we did have a porous defense, especially when we looked towards the end of the game. We were sitting there where we would be up by 20 or right on par with a lot of these teams. We lost a lot of games in the final seconds, in the final minutes of last year. And if one or two things go our way, quote unquote, go our way, then we're looking at a much different record. But when we really think about it in the long and the short of it, things did still go our way, because they were able to, they know they're not going to make playoffs last year. And, you don't want to be stuck in football hell and purgatory where you're just sitting there drafting in the middle of the draft. They managed to snag the number 1 overall pick because Lovie Smith hooked us up.
Yep.
And they were able to trade back at DJ Moore and still be able to get an offensive lineman, a really strong guy, with that number 10 spot after moving back. So right now we're looking at them filling needs. I mean, the Bears gave up 31 rushing touchdowns, which was the worst in NFL last year, and 2,674 rushing yards, which is the second worst in the league. A lot of people are saying that Dexter can be slow off the snap, which allows blockers to engage him first and neutralize his first move. But, again, him being a run stopper, that being his big focus, again, they're going to need him to rush the passer, but they also have Travis Gibson. They got a lot of other guys that they're going to be trying to get up in the face and the grill of some of these young guys in the NFC North. So if they can stop the run, like I said, especially against Detroit, because Montgomery's going to be trying to run it straight down the Bears' throat, this was a good pick at number 53.
It was a great pick. I think you're right on par with what's going on with Detroit. Detroit's a very up and coming team, and they've shown that they have glimpses of really showing out. And I think this is the year that they break out. No one's scared of Minnesota. Put them at the bottom. No one's scared of
Minnesota has playmakers, so Minnesota is always going to compete to actually win the division. Right now, until you prove yourself, the Bears are still at the bottom of the division, right? Because Minnesota won, if I'm not mistaken. You had Green Bay going for so many years. Detroit's big claim to fame last year was keeping Green Bay out of the playoffs. That's what's in their trophy cases. They won game at the season last year. But right now, the Bears are still at the bottom until they can prove themselves. Minnesota has a great offense, but their defense is lacking. And again, the Lions right now are an up and coming team. You got Dan Campbell up there, like you and I would run through a wall for him, bad hips and all, right? So that guy, and he's a big bastard, right? So he's sitting out there, and when you see a big guy get emotional, like, oh shit, I'll follow you into the pits of the depths of hell. Let's go. So his players will play out for him, and again, Dave Montgomery staying within the division, that's going to be a tough opponent. So you do need someone who's going to be able to stop the run.
Yeah, that's been our problem, especially last year. We had no one to stop the run. So every team would just run the ball against us, and they would get 300, 400 yards on us. Not 400, but you know what I mean. It felt like 400. It felt like 400. All right, let's move on to the next pick with Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami, a cornerback, also taken in the second round. He has a rating of 8.93. Another high rating guy. All I have on him is that he's a stud. B+ player, 6 feet, 198 pounds. They say he's stout. He plays physically well, especially in the press man scenarios. He's a big hitter and did deny the opposing receivers the ball. According to PFF, Stevenson gave up 47.2% completion rate in coverage between 21 and 22, which is the 5th best across that span. He had 3 interceptions over those 2 seasons too. But scouts also say that he struggles in zone schemes, which is what the Bears play most of the time. So adding a player to compete for a second outside corner spot was very important. If he wins, he'll allow Kyler Gordon to focus completely on the slot corner, which is a big bonus.
Yeah, the Bears, when they picked up Dexter number 53, they knew they were coming right around the corner with number 56, and they visited the state of Florida again, picking up Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami. 6'10", 198, and like you said, they're calling him a stout guy. He's a physical guy. So we looked at some of the picks that the Bears had over the last couple of seasons. Kyler Gordon was definitely one of the guys that they're hoping a lot of production out of. So allowing him to be able to focus on that slot corner is going to be a big bonus for them, because you know that you don't have to focus on so many things. When you look at up and down what they have in the secondary right now, we knew that the line was going to be important to focus on. We knew that the secondary was going to need to be shored up. They still have Eddie Jackson back there. They have some good players back there, but again, you're just making sure that you can solidify what you have. And definitely, after going offense, maybe not the sexy pick that people may have wanted, but going after offense and pick number 1 to start off the second round, they definitely did good by not only shoring up part of their defensive line, but also the secondary.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so far it's a solid draft. We got 3 picks in. With our next pick is Zach Pickens out of South Carolina, another defensive tackle with a rating of 9.23.
Yeah, Zach Pickens, staying over there in the SEC, the NBC Sports gave him a B+ for this pick at number 64. They said it's not surprising that the Bears took 2 defensive tackles within 11 picks, because generating pocket pressure from the interior is so important for their defense. Similar to Dexter, Pickens is big, strong, and athletic. And similar to Dexter, Pickens didn't have any eye-popping numbers in college. He racked up 7.5 sacks, 11.5 tackles for loss, and no forced fumbles dating back to the 2020 season, but does things to stop the run that don't always show up in the box score, and he has the athleticism to be a serious disruptor if the Bears make some tweaks to his technique and how he's deployed. So once again, this is showing you that Ryan Poles is focusing on stopping the run, because they got completely gashed last year. And hey, look, when they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, this shit was broke, and it looks like he's trying to fix it.
It was completely broke. They got 1 offensive tackle, 2 defensive tackles so far, cornerbacks. So you're looking at defense. After addressing Justin Fields' biggest need, which is an offensive tackle. Our next pick, which is a surprise pick for me, I thought it was a surprise pick, was Rashawn Johnson from Texas, a running back who looks like a stud to me, and a steal at 4.
Yeah, moving over into round 4 at pick 155, Rashawn Johnson. And a lot of people were looking for the Bears to grab Bijan Robinson, who, the Bears did not take. Because look, why would you take a running back that early? That was one of the things that J.C. ultimate special talent. But the guy who also played in Texas but did not have all the miles that his counterpart did was Roshan Johnson. They on NBC Sports, they gave him a grade A. The Bears seemed disappointed that they weren't able to bring back David Montgomery free agency, so they picked up a player who can bring a similar skill set to the run game. Johnson doesn't necessarily have top-end speed, but he's elusive and strong, which makes him hard to bring down. His stats don't pop off the page, but that's largely because he was a running back behind Bijan Robinson, a player who many believe is the best running back prospect since Saquon. But the deeper analytics show an impressive rusher. According to Pro Football Focus, Johnson's 45% forced missed tackle rate over the last 2 years leads all running backs in the country with at least 190 attempts. He should be the perfect complement to Khalil Herbert's one cut and go style too. So again, you're looking at a guy who will complement who they already have in the room. Like we said, considering the fact that more than likely Herbert will be the number one, this is a great move. You're looking at Texas is always going to be a very strong run team. Yeah. Last time we saw the Bears take a Texas running back was Cedric Benson, and we know how that turned out. Yeah. Yes, they made it to the Super Bowl, but they also had Thomas Jones, and they really, I think, Ced Benson didn't. There was something wrong with that guy, right? There was never. Yeah. He was never quite like. It doesn't seem like he was always bought into the program, bought into the system, and eventually after he kind of bounced around and he was spit out of the NFL, he did have that accident on the boat and he passed away, unfortunately. But looking at what you're trying to do with your current team, they're trying to match the roles and match the we know what your weakness is here. Okay, this guy has that strength. You know what his weakness is. Here's your strength, so on and so forth. So you're trying to make everyone compatible. And just like he said in his interview, you're trying to make sure that you have the players available to focus on the things that you want to, and you can have all these different schemes and things like that.
Yeah, looking at it, he kind of reminds me of a young Montgomery. He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest, but he's going to be elusive. He knows where to be. He can catch out of the backfield. I mean, that gives you a 1-2 punch with the running back that we have right now. So I think it's just, a younger version of what we used to have. Now, is he going to give you Montgomery production? No, he's going to be a rookie. And Herbert is going to be the number one back. So I think Herbert is going to have some pretty big numbers this year because he's going to be the safety valve for Justin Fields. All right, do you want to take a break here or you want to keep going?
Real quick, and don't forget, you still have Deontay Foreman, who they brought in, and you also have Travis Homer. So, I mean, it'll be an interesting backfield to see how they kind of incorporate these guys. Are they going to go running back by committee? Are they, it's the same thing they did by doubling up with their tight end situation. So it'll be really interesting to see how they go into the next era of Chicago Bears football. Before we take a break, let's stay in round 4 real quick and look at pick number 133 in the 2023 NFL draft, and that's speedster wide receiver out of Cincinnati, Tyler Scott. This is not a real big guy. They gave him an A grade, but he is an absolute burner. He's a guy that can take the top of defense as a deep threat, and scouts praise his agility and ability to feint on double moves to get open. Between the 2021 and 2022 seasons in Cincinnati, Scott caught 84 passes for 1,419 yards and 14 touchdowns. Even more impressive is that Scott was able to accomplish that while learning the position. He was a running back in high school, and he just started to learn wide receiver in 2020, which is his first year in college. Based on his traits and his ability to grow as he continues to develop as a wide receiver, his upside is through the roof. So to me, when I hear that, it makes me think that if this is a guy that started playing the wide receiver position in like junior high, in Pee-wee, I mean, he would have been, a massive threat right now. Yeah, but again, under the radar guy, you're able to kind of like get a burner. And look, you need someone like that, especially when you're trying to bolster a wide receiver room that's been weak over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what the Bears try to do with Taylor Gabriel, whatever his face is, another burner that just stretches the field for everybody else. That's essentially what he's going to be doing for his first couple of years till he learns the offense. Let's hear from Ryan Cavanaugh, the Bears coach.
Love his speed. Great kid, tough kid. He can really take the top off. And Justin's going to like throwing to him deep. He does that well. And I think he's surprised us with route running and quickness and just everything about him. He's a tough kid. He's tough at the catch point. He's really good with the deep ball, getting open deep as well as fighting for the ball deep. So good at tracking it, good hands downfield, and just an awesome kid.
Looks like another sleeper in the draft, and the Bears fans should be happy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll come back to finish out our draft analysis with pick 148, 165, 218, and 258 after a word from our sponsors.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride, so do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15. TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
This is Enrique Calderon coming to you from True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast. Come check me out on social media, Enrique Calderon Official on Instagram and Facebook. Check us out.
Y te lo dice
Enrique Calderon.
Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast with E-Roc and Big-Z.
Yes, sir.
This is 3 and Out Draft Edition. All right, E, what are we talking about now? What pick are we on now? Because they had so many picks, and my head was spinning. I think it was like our 6th pick now.
Yeah, I think we believe we're on the sixth pick in round 5 with pick 148 in the 2023 NFL Draft. The Chicago Bears select Noah Sewell, linebacker out of Oregon. He is he's a legacy player. I believe he has like a brother that plays in like Seattle, and another one that plays in Detroit, and another one that plays in Africa, and another one plays in XFL, and one that plays in AFL. And yeah, he is absolute legacy. Look, I think that when you think about the degree in which we hold the regard of the Chicago Bears linebackers over the years, I think a lot of people were really upset about the fact that they traded Roquan. They moved on from him. But again, like we just kind of talked off the air about Jose Abreu, it takes 2 to tango. So two to tango. So he had to agree. He didn't have an agent. We saw what he was able to get shored up when he went over to the Ravens, who, coincidentally signed Lamar Jackson to the biggest contract in NFL history as far as guarantees are concerned. But moving back to the Bears, looking at their linebacker position, we were excited when we saw Jack Sandborg. We were excited when we brought in Edmonds and Edwards. But bringing in a young guy, Noah Sewell, is a great move for the Bears. He continued the trend of players with impressive traits coming to Chicago. He's got 4.64 speed and hits with authority. His best season was 2021 when he led the Ducks with 114 tackles and added 8.5 tackles for loss. His production took a step back last year, however, and he finished the year with just 56 tackles and 5.5 tackles for loss. One could say his best trait is his ability to affect the quarterback in the pass rush, which we desperately need. His highlight tapes are filled with effective blitzes, and he finished his college career with 7.5 sacks in 33 games. The knock on Sewell from scouts is that he can be a little shaky in pass coverage. This grade also gets a ding because the Bears have already invested heavily in the position with Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, who could have used extra help, and they could have used extra help somewhere else on the roster. But again, this is a depth move. You're talking about a couple of guys who have been in the league for a few years. If you want to move on from one of these guys and it just doesn't shake out, why wouldn't, again, we're talking about the pedigree of linebackers in the Chicago Bears. Why wouldn't you want to have as many as possible? I know we've moved back from the 3-4 we ran for a long time back to the 4-3, but again, why wouldn't you want to make sure that you have as many fresh bodies as possible to go ahead and do it? And like I said, what we're seeing Ryan Poles do is match guys who have certain strengths with other guys who have certain strengths, right? So you're able to, okay, this guy is weaker in the pass rush, this guy is weaker in the run stopping game. Mix and match, right? You can go ahead and you're just filling the holes. This is the same way that I play fantasy baseball and fantasy football, right? If I have a guy and I know that I'm weak at third, I'm gonna get extra third baseman so I can kind of switch him out, you know what I mean, and do that thing. Look, clearly I am on a professional GM level when it comes to professional sports. So I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't just listen to me and follow my strategy that I've been doing for 20 years worth of fantasy.
Yeah, this is also a depth move before I start talking about your fantasy there. Again, you don't know. These guys have been both 6 and 5 years respectively in the league, and now you pick up more depth at the linebacker position. If one of these guys gets hurt, you have a guy that can put right in. That's what he's doing. He's addressing a little bit of everything. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket and address all the offensive needs and not address the defensive needs. You've got to address a little bit of everything. It's okay. It's like at the buffet. You have a little bit of everything. Just keep going down the line. You might like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little taste of this. Guess what? At the end, it's going to be all good because the Chicago Bears are building depth, like you said, and it's gonna be a good roster. I mean, I'm not saying we're winning the Super Bowl, but they're putting good picks together. You said he's a legacy player. We love that.
Yeah, he's a legacy player. So he's the youngest of 4 brothers. Noah, who joins Panay, who is a Lions offensive tackle, and Nephi, a Saints linebacker in the NFL, while Gabriel plays for the Philadelphia Stars of the USFL. They also have 2 uncles, Isaac Sapagoa and Richard Brown, who both had long NFL careers. So again, all you're doing is loading up on a legacy. I mean, this is almost like the Usos in the WWE.
Look at you.
And all the Yeah, man.
Look at you.
I know a little bit. I know very little. Roman Reigns, to be fair, they all look like they were just like someone, if you take the seed of a tree and plant it, it looks like someone did that to The Rock, and then that's how you got everyone else going from Roman Reigns to everyone else in that family anyway. Let's be fair.
Yeah, all the young ones, yeah, they all look the same. Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, the Usos are
That's
twins.
the own family line. They all look like they just like all right, man. It's just like when you go to the Oreo factory and every Oreo looks the same. Like, how'd they do that? Well, they just kept flopping them out. This is this year's edition.
Wait, you mean Yokozuna is not actually Japanese? Spoiler alert. All right.
What you talking about, Big-Z?
Right. All right, let's move on to the next pick. Cornerback Terrell Smith.
Yeah, cornerback. So still staying in round 5, 165. Terrell Smith, cornerback out of Minnesota. Once again, focusing on the secondary. You see a trend here. There's not many offensive players that the Bears are taking. You got 2 D linemen, and now you got 2 secondary players. Once again, from NBC Sports, stop me if you've heard this before. Smith is big, long, strong, and speedy. Typically, when one sees traits like that, one thinks of a prototypical press man corner. But Bears scouts believe Smith has the smarts and instincts to succeed in an off-ball coverage, which the Bears like to deploy in their secondary. Smith was a 5-year player in college and started for the Golden Gophers as a freshman in 2018, but he was relegated to a backup role in 19 and 20 before regaining a starting spot in 21. He retained the starting role in 22, and the Bears appreciate Smith's ability to battle through that adversity and believe he's still an ascending player. From a production standpoint, Smith's 22 season was his best. He notched 38 tackles, including 4.5 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. In the ball skills department, he also had 2 interceptions and a forced fumble. So overall, I mean, this is a really good pick. Again, you're shoring up your secondary. You're shoring up your linebackers. You're shoring up your defensive line. We saw that, we could say that Justin Fields had no weapons last year. We look at Chase Claypool. We look at DJ Moore. Claypool, people gave him a lot of shit last year, but now he's got a full season under his belt with the Chicago Bears organization. DJ Moore coming in is going to be a really good addition, and obviously your number one. You still got Darnell Mooney. You got the new kid they just brought in the draft. So look, overall, I think what you're seeing when we talked about them filling needs, whether it was from the draft or whether it was from free agency, they absolutely hit on every single pick.
Yeah, every one of these picks, like I said, they're rated 8 and above, and most of these are a lot of them are either 9s or very close to 9s. Looking at we just mentioned Terrell Smith, he's rated 8.67. So again, you're picking guys at the top of the rating. Moving, let's finish off the draft before we start talking about possibilities of what's going to happen next for the Bears. Travis Bell of is it Kennesaw State, a defensive tackles in the 7th round, pick 218, rating 8.26.
Yeah, Travis Bell, Kennesaw State. You are correct. Look, neither one of us is gonna tell you that we know anything about this guy because we don't even know where that school is. But I'll tell you this again.
Next to Northeastern.
What's that?
Next to my college, Northeastern.
There you go. Right there.
We don't even have a college team.
It's one of those guys. Look, yeah. He is a athletic 310-pound guy who will compete for that one technique D tackle spot on the defensive Allen Williams. He's the first draft pick in the history of Kennesaw State, which is located in Georgia, and he plays in the East Sun Conference. Here is what they had to say about Bell. He's D-line 62, penetrating pass rusher. He has some agility, ability as well. Big time athlete. He's raw, and he needs to learn how to read run game and offenses, but he does have a lot of potential. And then the NFL.com scouts reads like this. The report reads like this. Bell is an interior defender with decent lateral quickness and power at the point of attack. He lacks the overall mass and anchor to eat up blocks inside, though. He has enough foot quickness and hand usage to work his way around blockers, but might find his success rate plummet against NFL caliber competition. He has the traits to get a look as one gapping, even front nose tackle, but might need to fight for a spot as an undrafted free agent. So a lot of guys, didn't necessarily have him as an actual draft prospect. But again, you're talking about, very late in the draft. And I'm not mad at all at them taking a flyer on guys, especially when you're looking at a team that's looking for raw talent. 218th pick in the draft. Hey, at this point, you're kind of drawing straws and seeing this is obviously a guy that they scouted, that they saw something in. And if they can, lean on their coaches and their scouts to figure out where's the best possible place to put this guy, again, 7th round pick, raw talent. Who knows what's going to happen with this, but we can clearly see that they're definitely focusing on that defensive line and trying to get that short up.
Yeah, the defensive tackle in the 7th round is pretty much you're looking for a piece of clay to mold into your system. He may not be good at this, good at that, but you may see, he has good footwork or he has good hands. I can work with this. So some of the scouts and some of the coaches were saying, I can work with this kid and I can mold him into what we need as a depth guy as well. He's not going to start right away. He's going to be on 3rd string if he makes the team. But again, like you said, he was not even supposed to be drafted. He was supposed to be a unsigned free agent. The fact that the Bears, like you said, took a flyer on him means they might have saw something that they liked. So you're looking at somebody who might get a second chance, a second look at, hey, you know what, your footwork is good here, or you're good against the pass, or you're good against the run. Now let's work on the other stuff that you're not good at, and we're going to put you with some of the good guys and learn some of those good habits and good techniques that you can absorb through training camp and OTAs.
Absolutely. And that's what it is when you look at late round draft picks in the 7th round. To finish out the 2023 NFL draft for the Chicago Bears at pick 258, they picked up Kendall Williamson, safety out of Stanford. Once again, no one knows who this guy is. These are not big names. But he started his collegiate career in Stanford in 2018 at corner. But in the last few years, he was linking up at safety. In total, he played 44 games while racking up 213 tackles, 11 for loss, a sack and a half, 1 interception, 13 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, and a partridge in a pear tree. He did a little bit of everything. He was also, and I will say I appreciate this kind of thing, he was also Pac-12 all academic honor roll the last 4 years. So this is a guy that's smart. He's a quick learner. He will run. He's one of these hard study guys. And, again, you find the right spot for him. You can definitely put his talent to good use. They have his strengths listed as tough run defending safety who is best playing downhill, instinctive, stays with coverage assignments and hits hard, goes after opponents, wraps up tackling, and brings opponents down in the open field, gives effort and sells out to make plays. Now, this is something we don't necessarily see out of guys like Eddie Jackson, so look out for the guy that's breathing down your neck. His weaknesses are listed, essentially say he does not display an explosive burst to the ball and shows average closing speed despite his 40 time. He's late getting to the spot in coverage. Overall, Williamson possesses the numbers desired at the safety position, yet on film, he's very straight-line-ish and one-dimensional. He possesses an upside, needs proper coaching, and must start making plays in coverage. Now, when you look overall at what they have in the secondary, they have really focused on all of these positions. Looking overall, we know we had Jalen Johnson, Jalen Jones already back there, Jaquan Brisker, Eddie Jackson, Kyler Gordon, but again, bringing in, and Kindle Vildor, who's kind of been up and down a little bit, but again, bringing in Tyreek Stevenson, bringing in this kid here, Kendall Williamson. They saw Elijah Hicks, who I couldn't even tell you who that is, Josh Blackwell, who we saw a little bit on the field. So it looks like they're really doing a good job of trying to shore up some of the depth issues that they had last year. Because again, you're talking about guys that you never heard of in your life. So, Johnson had injury, Eddie Jackson had injury, Jalen Jones had injury. So we're seeing them trying to make sure that they have the depth so that they don't just completely fall off a cliff if a guy gets injured.
Yeah, essentially, this whole entire draft has been about addressing some immediate needs and then adding depth for the rest of the team. And there's a lot of issues with the run defense and then the corners, right? So they addressed all that. They also addressed a little bit on the linebackers, adding depth there. I'm not mad about anything that they did so far because at the end of the day, we still have to see everybody come as a cohesive unit and produce, right? Just like the White Sox. They look great on paper, but they're shitting the bed, right? They're shitting the toilet paper all the way through the whole entire roll. So until the Bears go through, team meetings, OTAs, minicamp, all that stuff, training camp, it doesn't mean anything. It's just, numbers on paper. It doesn't mean anything right now. So like you said, at the wide receiver position, we have a lot of wide receivers. Nysiba, Webster, Equanius, St. Brown, Tyler Scott, Joe Reed, Dante Pettis, DJ Moore, Darnay Mooney, Velus Jones Jr., Darius Fountain, Chase Claypool. That's a lot of wide receivers.
Again, shoring up a weak position.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We knew that DJ Moore, number one, is going to be their number one overall wide receiver, their number one spot. But again, Darnell Mooney, who had to leave last year halfway through the season with like an ankle injury, I believe. Chase Claypool, I think, is really going to be able to come into his own this season. A Notre Dame fan. I watched him for years. He is definitely a guy that can be capable as a 2 or 3, which he's going to be a 3 as long as Mooney comes back healthy. But he doesn't have that pressure on him anymore. Velus Jones, again, a guy that's going to end up being hopefully his big problem last year as a returner was that he could not hold on to the ball, but he definitely has, he has the speed and he has side. He's a little bit older guy. We talk about, I think he's like a year or two older than Justin Fields, even at 25. But again, they brought back Dante Pettis on a small deal, and they brought back EQ St. Brown because of his blocking ability. Again, Tyler Scott, the speedster that they just brought in. So they definitely have a bunch of guys that they feel like can stretch the field, can get those undercuts, because that's what Claypool is going to need to do. You got Moore and you got Mooney on the outside. So it'll really be interesting to see how this offensive attack is going to come together. Looking up and down, again, looking at what they have on in the run game, Herbert, Foreman. They brought in Travis Homer from Seattle. They just brought over Johnson in the draft. And, look, I think they did a really good job of fulfilling holes. I want to say they also have, I think, maybe like 35 million left in cap space.
Yep.
So there's a couple of guys that are out there. I think Ngakwe is still out there. Some people were talking about bringing Floyd back. So there are definitely, again, when you're looking at depth guys that they're going to have to worry about on the line, because you just brought in 6 or 4 offensive tackles. You brought in a linebacker. You brought in like 3 secondary guys. So, it's not a bad idea to have a guy like Ngakwe that you can plug in and have an automatic starter, but also someone that the young guys can use as a mentor and have someone to kind of build off of and look at, how to become a professional in the NFL. Again, very young team. You got Travis Gibson, who's only been in the league, 2-3 years. A lot of these guys that are on their line are not older guys. Your backups right now, Pickens, Dexter, the guys that they just picked up in this draft, right? Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see how the defense comes together. A lot of young guys. We still got to see what's going on with Jack Sanborn, how he's going to be coming back from his injury. Jalen Johnson, like I said before, with that injury. So I think they did a pretty good job of trying to shore up some of the positions of need that they had. And it'll be really interesting to see what happens come training camp.
What do you rate the draft overall?
I would give them overall. I'm going to give them an A. I'm not going to go at minus. I'm not going to go at plus. I'm not going to drop it down to a B because they're 7th round picks. Who knows what the hell they're going to get? But I think overall that the way that they positioned themselves in this draft, I think they shored up some of the areas of need before going into the draft. I think it was really interesting to see the fact that Ryan Poles pulled off the trade to drop back to number 9 and give Carolina the number 1 pick so early in the process that we didn't have to worry about it on draft day, and that they could really truly focus on, okay, who do we think is going to be available at pick number 9, who and knowing that it's just one spot in number 9, that doesn't mean every other round you're still picking number 1 overall or right there, the second round they had all the Roquan stuff and other trades with Philly and all that stuff. But I mean, you look at where they're drafting it every other round, it's high in every other round. So it was really interesting to see them really try to plug holes. I think Darnell Wright is a great pick to start off the draft for the Bears, because again, a guy that's not necessarily known as closely as the big names that went around him right before and right after him. So I'll give them an A. I think they definitely filled areas of need, and I think right now, despite the fact that all these knucklehead Bears fans were sitting there like, well, what about this guy? What about that? You don't know shit. You're not a scout. You're a guy that is whose favorite team is Iowa. How come the Bears didn't draft all Iowa players? Now, to be fair, Philly literally drafted the entire offense from Alabama and the entire defense from Georgia. So that is going to be a hell of a team to watch, whether you're a fan of them or not. I think Cowboys fans are quite upset after this draft. Micah Parsons came out on Twitter. It was just like, what the fuck is happening? But I will go ahead and I'm going to give the Bears an A. Again, it's going to take 2 to 3 years to see if any of these guys pan out at all. But I think looking at the tangibles, looking at the intangibles that these players had, bring them in. I'm really happy that they didn't go after that big splashy name and bring in the knucklehead that killed his friend and then still drove like an asshole. I will forever, not be mad about that. Again, he might turn out to be, a 10-year All-Pro, a 10-year, Pro Bowler, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't think that he was the right player for this team at this time.
You know what? I can't say anything different besides it's an A. It's an A draft. This GM has proven that he is willing to take risk, but also take the safe pick that's going to be someone who's going to be on the team for the next 5 to 10 years. Moving the number 1 pick to the number 9 pick, picking up a number 1 wide receiver for it, and the number 61 pick, then trading the 9 pick to a 10 pick, picking up another pick in the 4th round, and we still have a 2024 first round pick and a 2025 second round pick from Carolina. Look at the amount of haul we got for that number 1 pick. It's going to impact us for years to come. He literally set us up for 24, 25, and 26 to be, picking up players and providing that depth that we're going to need when these guys price out or we don't need them anymore or they retire or whatever. Again, it is a wheel that keeps moving. As you bring someone in that's young, someone old is moving out. Some players you can't re-sign because their money's way too high. They overvalue themselves, or the team says, hey, you know what? I can get somebody cheaper that does the same amount of production. It is a big wheel that continues to move, and Ryan Pace understands that. So Poles, sorry. Yeah, Ryan, they have the same damn initials. Ryan Poles understands that. So right now, it's an A for me just because look at what he's done at so far. And then you look at the quarterback position by picking up P.J. Walker, a similar quarterback to Justin Fields. So when Justin Fields may have to come out for whatever reason, and I hope he never comes out of a game, you have P.J. Walker there who plays just like him. So the offense doesn't have to change. You don't skip a beat. So I'm super excited for the sunrise of the Chicago Bears as they're coming up, their young team. I still think they're behind the Detroit Lions as far as in talent and being able to win games. I think they're right behind them, but I think this is the Lions' division to lose.
Look, until the Lions start winning some games and they win the division, I don't think it's their division to lose right now. I think right now you're the best team as far as your offensive talent is still going to be Minnesota, just because we look at up and down. They did add another really good wide receiver on their team. I think a kid out of USC, I believe. But look, Detroit is definitely an up and coming team. I think they are really. Again, we never know what to expect out of Green Bay right now, especially not knowing what's going on with Jordan Love. We saw a little bit of flashes out of him, but we really don't know what he's going to be like as a full-time starter in the NFL. I think we know what to expect out of Jared Goff. And the thing is that with the Bears, we know what Cousins is, right?
Yeah.
But out of the Bears, we really have not seen the full potential of Justin Fields because he has not had the protection that he needs on a consistent basis. There was times where people screenshot something where there was an open field in front of him, there was open receivers, so on and so forth. You're talking about one play out of 100 plays that happen in every game. I mean, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to see it every time. And, you catch something out of the corner of your eye, especially if you've been running for your life the entire season, you're going to run for your life again. The Bears did pick up some undrafted free agents. I have a quick list that I can give you.
Sure.
You're not going to any of these names, but I'll go ahead and give them to you anyway. Andre Sismet, the kicker out of Syracuse, Aaron Kirkshank, the wide receiver out of Rutgers, Bobby Haskins, offensive tackle out of USC, Dejon Warren, defensive back, Jackson State, who is supposed to be a pretty strong player from what's his name? Deion Sanders' squad from Jackson State. Dominic Quaywan, linebacker out of Southern Miss, Gabe Hui, offensive lineman out of Pitt, Jalen Harris, edge rusher out of Arizona, Justin Broyles, cornerback, Oklahoma, Macon Clark, safety out of Tulane, Micah Baskerville, linebacker from LSU, which has always got good linebackers, Robert Burns, running back out of Connecticut, Tyson Bagent, quarterback out of Shepherd. Now, I will give you a whole $5 right now if you can tell me without Googling, where is Shepherd?
Where is Shepherd?
Right.
Next to the sheep.
There you go. We got Deshaun
tags. We call it a gut box. It's a box.
What is this?
Where, if I feel there's something different about this guy, the makeup, the approach to the game in terms of.
I came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So Shepherd.
Where was I?
Shepherd.
Shepherd University, maybe, I don't know. And Deshaun Kitchings, a wide receiver out of Newberry, another school that no one.
Mayberry.
Yeah, Shepherd. Let's look up Shepherd University. Shepherd University is a public university in Shepherdstown, Washington. So good for you, guy from that place. Congrats on making the Chicago Bears undrafted free agent list.
Yeah.
Who knows if any of those guys are going to pan out? Who knows if we're ever hear any of those names ever again, except for game number 1 or 2 in the preseason. But I think overall we're in agreement. The Bears did a good job in this draft. They still have a little bit of money to spend to see if they can maybe shore up some other positions and bring in some more vets that are just still floating out there, waiting to get signed. But I got to say, right now I'm not jumping for joy by any means, but I'm definitely very optimistic to see what this team will be able to do, and not just this year, but in the next couple of years going forward, because the Bears do have quite a few draft picks next year as well.
It's looking all sunshines and rainbow right now for the Chicago Bears. Nothing else to say, man. It's looking really good. I know you're giddy on the inside. You're just not letting it out.
No, look, anyone who listens to this show know that I don't get too high. I don't get too low when it comes to sports. Because
you don't get too high?
Okay, listen. Okay? At least not on the show. But yeah, I mean, like, I try to look at it from an outsider's perspective. During game day, when I'm watching the actual game, I'm all in, right? Like, my heart is on my sleeve. Mm-hmm. But when I'm trying to like pay attention and understand the moves and understand what's actually happening, I try to look at it from an outside perspective, because it's no use to anyone to just be a meathead. You know, well, this guy's the best. He's not. Like, no one's the best. Like, there's no such thing unless you're talking about Otani. That's the only best, right? Jordan, that's the only best, right? So aside from that, we're just optimistic that our guys are going to be, you know, just good enough to get what you need to get done. If we can make it to the playoffs, that's step one. If we can make it to, you know, hey, NFC Championship, step two. You know, you got to take it step by step. You are not going to turn, and it's possible. Look, especially with Rodgers leaving the division, it is entirely possible to turn from worst to first, but you still have to put in the work. You still have to develop a team. And anyone out there that is not a complete and total meathead with a bunch of ground beef sticking out of their ears, you understand that you can't build a championship roster in one off season. It is just not a possible thing, right? Unless you're the Tampa Bay Bucks and you bring over Brady, who brings over all the rest of the kids from the land of misfit toys. You know, that's just how that goes. They're just following them around. So the Bears did a great job in this draft. I think, you know, I'm sure we'll be talking about this ad nauseum until preseason starts. But you know, until then, I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about with the Cubs and the White Sox.
Yeah, well, the Cubs at least for right now. I have one more question before we get out of this segment. One more question. Do you bring Robbie Gould in for a tryout, or do you sign him?
Why not? You know, why? Look, give the man a little bit of respect. I mean, the I want to say San Francisco, they drafted a punter, or they drafted a kicker. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, the Patriots drafted a punter and a kicker. So hey, good news for those special teams guys. But yeah, I mean, why not give Robbie Gould a shot? You know, let him in the building at least. You know, give him a shot, see what he's got. You know, you got Santos, who had a little bit of struggles back and forth last year. So you know, a little competition never hurt anyone.
I'm down, especially because he married my mentor, my teacher, my mentor's daughter. So keep it in the family.
Wait. How I never heard this before?
Yeah. So my last year of PE of my degree, you have to do like observations and go put in hours and whatever. So my supervising teacher was named Richard Cozy, and his daughter married Robbie Gould. This happened during my last year, so it's 2011 when this happened. So I called him on his BS, and sure enough, he pulled up pictures of the wedding and everything. So I was like, oh well, I feel stupid. Say hi to Robbie for me. And then Robbie ends up going to San Francisco, which kind of sucked.
Yeah, I mean, he was done by the time he left here. A lot of people were, why did you not bring back Robbie Gould? Well, because he was missing kicks and they were paying him a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
He was making like $9 million a year to miss kicks in his last season here. And he resurrected his career. He went over to the Giants for a season. Then he went over and played for the Niners and had a bunch of productive years. So he might retire, or he might try to see if he can find another job. But I mean, hey,
he'll find another job. He's a good kicker. Look at his percentage.
I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't kick him out of the kicking room.
All right, we'll be right back with Stirring the Pot after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride, so do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15.
For 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey, this is comedian Ken Garr, and I was just a guest on the True Chicago Sports Fans podcast with Big Earl
E-Roc.
and G-Money and a bunch of weirdos. So tune in!
Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast with E-Roc and Big-Z.
Oh, yeah.
It's that time again, brother.
Uh-oh.
You know what time it is.
Oh, boy.
It's time for Stirring the Pot. All right, man, I had breakfast this morning at a great spot called Creole. If you don't know, you better find out. It's a great spot over on Clybourne off of Fullerton. I'm going to start being my Mikey O impression right here. You got to try this spot. It's awesome.
Forgive me, Lord, for I am fat.
Yes. Well, we're all fat. But I went over there and, a girl wanted bottomless mimosas. I was like, well, that's the spot to get him. And I'm going to have I tried their quesadillas. I'll try one everywhere I go. And I was very disappointed just because it's beef and not goat. So it doesn't taste the same. But I tried it as an appetizer. I was like, while I wait for my food. So I ended up having cochinita pibil, which is like a prepared pork in a certain way, whatever, as a tostada with black beans and pickled onions. And then the girl's like, hey, well, she's having bottomless mimosas. What are you going to have? And I was like, well, I will do the traditional michelada. And she's like, what kind of beer you have? I'm like, what does it come with? She's like, well, tecate. I was like, I'll try that one first. And if you don't know what a michelada is, it is a Mexican Bloody Mary. So it's got a tomato base, that they pour out. It's got, the A1 sauce. It's got, either Valentina or Tapatio. It's got pepper, salt. It's got a whole bunch. It's pretty much a Bloody Mary, just Mexican style. It's got tajin in the inside and on the rim. And I tried it with the tecate. And tecate was, who doesn't love tecate? Tecate and beer, tecate and wings, it goes together. So I had it. I thought it was a pretty good combination. For my second one, I got a Pacifico, and I got the tall boy. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love me Pacifico beer, especially with a michelada. It was actually pretty good and refreshing. My next one would have been, what is that? Modelo Negra. That would have been my third beer. But you had to go. Because I had a podcast to record. So that was what was my morning and my brunch. So I'm not a huge fan of micheladas, but when in Rome, you try one, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm not a Bloody Mary guy, but I'm a michelada guy. So the question to you, sir, are you a michelada guy?
So here's the question for you. So Bloody Mary is typically with vodka. Is there any other booze aside from the beer in the michelada?
No.
Yeah, no. First of all, I'm going to tell you why I hate Bloody Marys. It's a waste of vodka. Just drink the vodka, man. If I wanted to drink cold tomato soup, I just make some soup and wait. Right? I don't understand it. I don't understand how... Hey, can I get a big cup of heartburn to start my day off? I'm going to watch some football today. What kind of bullshit is that, man? If you're going to start the morning off right, have a fucking beer and a shot and just ride that wave all the way down. Man.
Yeah, have a Chicago handshake. Yeah, have a Chicago handshake.
Fucking right. Well, yeah, but I'll skip the
Malort. Skip the Malort. Right.
Fuck that. Every time I think I'm a Malort now, all I do is think about the socks because I can't figure out which one is worse.
Oh.
Watch your mouth, cabron.
I had that bitch on standby.
That was good. I like it. But look, either way, I'm it's a hard pass for me. I'm not doing it, man. Just give me the beer. Give me, you know what? I'm gonna skip all that shit. Just give me the Pacifico Tall Boy and call it a day. Let me sip on my fucking beer. Maybe give me a little tequila on the rocks on the side. Let me sip that as I go. But yeah, I mean, I don't need all this extra shit. I just don't understand it. Like a dash of this and like stop that shit, man. I don't need no tomato shit in my drinks.
It's because you're a meat and potatoes guy. You're just a simple guy, man.
I'm not a simple guy. I eat a lot of like. We had Mediterranean food over the weekend. That was our food last night. So I mean, I'll eat the hummus with the pizza. Yeah, you know what I mean. And the
baba ganoush
shawarma, right? The
shawarma, yeah,
with the chicken and the beef and the yellow rice.
Yeah.
And that shit is delicious. And
Yes.
the garlic sauce and all that. I'm down for that. But yeah, but that's also just food, right? Like I just don't understand putting all this extra shit in my drink. Stop trying to change the taste of what I'm drinking. If I need all that shit in it, it probably ain't that good to begin with.
Yeah. Again, apples, tomatoes, apples and oranges, doesn't matter. Everybody has their own thing. Everybody has their own. You know what? What I do agree with you is the Bloody Mary. The Bloody Mary is way over the top, where they put a wing, a burger, some shrimp on it, like celery. It's got a whole buffet on it, and it's just there's no way you. I don't want to drink my meal. I mean, I'll drink my meals as far as drinking beer all day and not eating. But I'm talking about not putting all that shit on there on my Bloody Mary. Just give me a michelada. Let's keep it simple.
You might as well just throw all that shit in a blender if you're gonna do that. Pretend I had my mouth wired shut like Kanye West.
Through the wire, baby. Through the wire.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Through the wire. Give me that. Otherwise, it's all hard, Pat. You can keep all that shit. Just give me the vodka. Give me a little bit of salsa and lime. That's nice, refreshing for a breakfast. That's refreshing for any time of day, if we're being honest.
Oh, for sure. When's the last time you had a michelada?
That would be 1970, long time ago. It's been a while. It's been a couple. No, I'll tell you what. The last time I had one was at the Leiden Bears cheerleading car wash about 4 years ago. Because we're a bunch of degenerates in my neck of the woods. So whenever there's a children's event, we just drink. Like that's what it is. And someone was like, "Here, you want this?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, fuck it." And then it was funny because Kim looked at me like, "What are you drinking?" I was like, "I don't fucking know. Somebody gave it to me." Like, what kind of sucker am I to turn down a free drink?
Right.
I'm like Sean. I'll try anything once, or 30 or 40 times. It just depends. It's one of those things is when in Rome, but I will never go out of my way to seek it. So like, it's like I can tolerate it more than a Bloody Mary. But at the same time, there's no way in hell that I'm going up like, "Hey, where can I get one of these?" Like,
yeah, I'm not searching for it, but I was just like, when in Rome, might as well have one. But my drinking hole output does make one of the best micheladas. Just gonna shut that
It's
up.
one of those things like if you hand me one, I'll drink it, but I'll never order one for myself.
Understood.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes total sense. I'm not having vodka. I'm a tequila guy. Whiskey
all day. All right, sir. I got a question for you.
What's that?
What you looking at? What have you been watching that isn't sports?
Well, since I had a week off, I was I had a list of shows to watch. But
you see about that, ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
I have been binging. I'm on season 2 already of Handmaid's Tales.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen this?
I've seen bits and pieces of the show. I get the general gist of it. It's super depressing, and I like things that are fun, so I kind of stay away from it.
It is a wild. It's a wild show.
I think it's Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaids, possibly.
Handmaids?
Yes.
Two hand?
No.
All right, good for you.
Oh man, yeah, it's wild because it takes place. So apparently there's like a terrorist attack, and people are unable to produce children, so they grab all these women who can produce children and keep them sequestered for the ultimately rich and so forth. And they pretty much just rape them once a month or whatever it is, and make them as maids to go get food or whatever. It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it's just the poor serving the rich on a general scale. I mean, overall, it reminded me a lot of the book The Giver by Lois Lowry, if anyone's read back in the day, where you only have like a couple people in society that are responsible for having all the babies in society, which is kind of making a really fucked up gene pool if you think about it.
Yep.
But overall, I mean, this is not. It's a very dystopian type of thing, very depressing. Yeah, I like I said, I saw a couple episodes, but it's not. I like things that I feel like are real, right? And that is almost too scary to make me think that it's gonna be real.
It's very scary because the government actually started issuing laws against a same-sex marriage, just a bunch of BS that you just outlaw, legally controlling women's reproductive freedom, morally, politically. It's so wrong.
That sounds familiar.
Oh, wait, that's 2023, isn't it?
That's I know I've heard people compare it to all the restrictions we had during COVID, and we didn't know what the hell was going on. So I can't really give these people that hard of a time because they're just trying to do their best to make sure we didn't have mass casualties.
Yeah. Well, funny enough that this takes place in the year 2005.
Oh, so this is very simple.
Yeah. So another thing that's funny, I that's pretty much what I've been watching. But another thing I just saw was an AI commercial by IBM, and like, hey, we can control your building and the lights and the heating, and we can know the temperature and this and that. I was like, wasn't there a movie about AI taking over the world like 30 years ago?
It was called The Jetsons. Rosie the robot would do everything, including wipe your ass for you. That was awesome.
No, we're talking about a movie.
Oh, a movie.
Yeah, Skynet.
Oh yeah, no. Let me tell you something. iRobot, all that shit. This is all the creepy shit they warned us about in the 1950s
and the 90s. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was supposed to be the dream in the 50s, right? Or another one. You know what another movie is that's really fucked up is a Disney movie. It's called WALL-E. You ever seen WALL-E?
I've seen parts of it, not all of it.
Oh, do yourself a favor and watch that one. You want to talk about a dystopian story for fucking children. Holy shit. I mean, like, literally, it's just these big fat blobs of people who just lay on their couch and like, everything gets fed into them. And I'm like, this looks real familiar if you've ever been to a Walmart.
Oh. Oh, man. That. Besides that, is it Ted Lasso and Succession? Those are my shows of the week. I'm finishing those up.
I gotta, man. Ted Lasso is just sitting there like missing me. Like he's like, man, where the fuck is Eddie at? Like I gotta get on it. I gotta get. The problem is that when I try to stream it off my TV, it doesn't. The signal doesn't work right. So I have to watch it off of the Xbox, and then it comes out brilliant. It comes out beautiful.
Yeah, one show that I gave was it the singing, the musical one on Apple, the Sheboygan Shigmadoon. Yeah, I watched the first episode and was like, no, this isn't funny anymore.
It is funny when you keep watching it and see what actually happens between those two people, because they're just like, wait, what the fuck? They think they're solid together, and then Cecily Strong and was it Keegan Michael Key?
Yeah, so the second season they're kind of in a Chicago.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the Schmigacago or some shit, Chicago or something. I didn't see the whole thing.
Yeah, so I'll finish it, but I wasn't impressed by the first episode. What are you watching?
You'll finish it eventually. So, for those who know, we talked about this a little bit. My wife is big on these cheesy horror movies. She always has been. Some of them, though, we talked about House of Wax. We talked about all that. Well, one of them, and one movie that was mentioned in that group was Scream. So Scream, for some reason, when they came up with Scream, was it last year before, when they kind of rebooted the franchise with new characters and stuff like that? That was actually called Scream. Well, for some reason, the sequel to that is called Scream 6. So how are you going to go from Scream to Scream 6? I don't get it. But here's a little piece of what we watched last night.
I had this secret. There's a darkness inside of me. It followed me here. And it's going to keep coming for us.
I thought that was you laughing in the background.
This isn't like any other ghost face. What is this, like a shrine? We've got to lure him in.
We execute him. Hello. You know you're like the 10th guy to try this, right? It never works out for the dipshit in the mask.
Maybe. But there's never been one like me, Gale.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just what you got. Weather's back. Interesting. Look, here's the thing. Here's the thing about it. I was interested enough in this movie that I took about a good hour-long nap right between the start and the finish, right? So I was thoroughly engaged in this movie. And funny enough, before it started, I was fully awake. And after it ended, I was fully awake again. So I don't know, whatever it is. So ladies and gentlemen out there, if you are tired, this is the movie for you.
Spoiler alert, Dewey dies.
Well, Dewey does a lot of things. That's why it's called Dewey. Yeah. And hey, look, it was fine. My daughter and my wife really enjoyed it. Even funny enough, I'm watching that little clip of the trailer that I played for you guys. And there were scenes in there that I completely didn't see at all. So I will probably have to rewatch it, but the experts who actually love this kind of thing, they enjoyed it. I know there was there's jump scares, and they were like, oh no, so they were definitely following around, trying to figure out who the killer was and what the relationship was and all that stuff. So definitely, if you're into that type of thing, I'm sure that you'll be into this type of thing. The other thing that I was watching, and I've been catching up with the last couple of seasons, is Shameless. I never actually watched the last 2 seasons, and I started back in season 4, kind of going through everything. So right now, did you watch the entire the entire thing?
Yeah, I'm caught up.
So where I am right now is, I believe, season 10, where Frank got tied up by the girl whose husband's life he destroyed.
Right.
And Liam is trying to figure out if he's black or not with his black family, and Mickey and Ian are trying to figure out if they're gonna get married or not. And Lip has a baby now with the garage shop guy's sister-in-law. So it's definitely it's weird because Fionnual's not there, and it's kind of the point in the series where I almost feel like I'm watching actors versus real people at this point, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
one of the reasons I really like this show and a lot of shows like that is because they felt like real people. Now maybe it's just because I'm watching them over and over again, and you're like, you guys should have known that by now. We're at the point where Debbie, you can't, is she a high price hooker or not? Who knows? That's where we're at right now. But I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm definitely. It's like a comfort food thing because it almost feels like real people, and it feels like, okay, let's see how they're doing today. But yeah, that's where I've been trying to catch up on. One of these days, I might go back and finish Boardwalk Empire. We'll never know.
That's like your Jimmy Kimmel stick. Like, oh yeah, we had Matt Damon on, but we didn't have enough time. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
This is my Lindsey Buckingham at the end of What's Up with That on SNL. And we got Lindsey Buckingham for the 17th time. Oh, Lindsey, sorry, we ran out of time once again. Well, hopefully you can go back next week. So that's my version of them, because I don't know. I don't even know why I stopped watching. I just forgot.
Yeah, I probably can pick it up next month and finish it before you finish it.
You're probably right. I still got to watch Ted Lasso, and I'm going to have so much softball. We got tournaments next weekend. We got games this week. I might have to reschedule games because I only got like 4 players for one. I got, girls with their 8th grade graduation coming up. I got, on 3 different schools, I think. I got girls that are going to Washington, D.C. for their D.C., 8th grade trip. So this is going to be very interesting. And like I said, we got plans to go out of town for a family wedding at the end of June, so we got to squeeze all this shit in. And interestingly enough, my wife had got me tickets to go see Colin Jost on June 24th, which is the same day that they scheduled the championship game. So if we're on the right trajectory that we were last year, right now being 2-0 and up 10-1 in the suspended game, we might be in that game again. But number one, we got to make it, and number two, God, I'm fucking tired.
Well, you can't be too tired because you got to close this out, sir.
Yeah, let's do that before I go to night for the night. All right, y'all, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed our Bears draft recap. A big thank you to our sponsors, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirts. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 at checkout for 15% off of your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Go and refresh your summer wardrobe right now. And don't forget to check out the rest of the 606 Media lineup. The newest show in the 606 family is No Water on the Weekend with Stephen and Sean. It's a pop culture forward podcast that dabbles in funny trivia, film, television, music, and Chicago-centric news and happenings. New episodes are available on Mondays wherever you listen to your podcasts. And the Shy Native Radio podcast is now available on all major platforms. Mike Logic, Ideal, and Throw MC talk about sports, movies, and all types of ill shit. Go and check them out. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have music that you want to be heard by everyone around the world, around Chicago, it doesn't matter where you're from and where you're going, but if you got some good music you want people to hear, go ahead and submit it to the Shy Native entertainment page, and if they like it, they will play it, and if they don't like it, you played yourself.
Good one.
Don't forget to check out the new EP from Mike Logic and Joey Childs, Too Much to Text Volume 1, now available on all streaming platforms. And also Ideal's new EP, Feliz y Guapo, is also out there as well, so go ahead and check him out. And unfortunately, we were going to try to have him on the show today, but he's actually in a recording session right now. The homie Il Brown, he's a longtime contributor to the TCSF podcast. He has a live show on weekdays on Facebook and I believe on YouTube as well. And if you listen closely, you might just hear me yakking and telling him that my opinion is better than his on whatever topic he's got going on that day. Sibling Rivalry Sports, follow them on Facebook and YouTube, and definitely contribute to the show. Shout out to Ronesh, Panic, Series Beats, and custom made for the beats we played on today's show. Check out paniconthebeat.com for all your Moleman merch and gear. And don't forget to check us out on social media. You can find us at True Chi Fans on Twitter and on TikTok. Follow us on Facebook, IG, Spotify, and reach out to us with the email. We want to hear what you think about the show, your Stirring the Pod recommendations, your movie recommendations, and all that good stuff. You can also DM us on any of those platforms, or you can email us at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. All right, y'all. For Big Z, this is E-Roc. We'll see you next time for episode 142.
Till next time, take care of yourself and each other.
For the love of sports.
A few moments later.
Wait, the Bears are what we thought they were. They're what we thought they were.
This is not how we wanted it to go. You almost can't even make it up. It's that bad.
Oh, my goodness! Didn't see that coming! What? Did we just become best friends? Yup!
You have a lot of incest.
That's real. Shut your mouth.
Lover boy.
Nature versus nurture, Lodge. Nature always wins.
I think he's on steroids.
Hasta luego, amigos. That's all. I shouldn't have those artichoke poppers.